people often think about success as how much money you can make and what car you drive and what house you live in and clothes you wear. And all those things I like all those things. But research is clear that the most fulfilling part of life is our relationships. There's people that think that parents are torturing their kids and traumatizing their kids by pulling them out in front and making them say hello, making them engage.
Well, parents now want to speak for their children.
When you think about stepping into the arena, and let's just talk at like macro level, when you look at your life, are you truly in the game, or are you a observer or spectator of your own life? There is a lot of misinformation out there where people are running away from stress. I'm so stressed. Oh, that's causing me stress. Don't talk to me. You're stressing me out. And there are people that are so misinformed, and it's hurting their life because they think that all stress is bad. And it's not true. All stress is not bad. And by the way, stress primarily is based on your ability to handle life. Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I am your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with my incredible co-host, Coach Mia.
Thank you, Seth. I'm so excited to have this show today.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why? Why today?
Well, we just came from the radiothon,
We
which
did.
is awesome, but I'm just excited. Our topic that we're going to talk about is one that I love to hear you teach on, so yeah.
Well, I love your attitude. The audience doesn't know this, but I know that Mia woke up at 1:30 in the morning. It's been up all day. So that's why I was like, why are you excited? Because you're sleep deprived? Are you delusional? Or no, you love the show. And this is actually one of the highlights of my week as well. The topic today is going to be really good. So if you just tuned in, text a friend, text a family member, tell them to tune in right now. Or just a reminder, you can listen to this show anywhere that podcasts are streamed. You can also watch us if you're a visual learner. I'm a YouTube guy, so I like to actually watch, and I like the tracking on YouTube. You know, it picks up where you left off. Anyways, YouTube at the 5-Star Life, and then yourhometv.com. Go to yourhometv.com. That's a program partner channel too. They're awesome, and we put all of our archived podcast on there. So if you're listening by radio, it won't be the full radio show or full radio broadcast, but you'll get kind of a different version of the same content, just a little shorter. So anyways, would love to have you tune in that way. If you just tuned in, you're like, what is 5-Star Life? We're on a mission to transform students' lives by challenging the way they think, the way they act, and the way they lead, while equipping them. Equipping is a big word. Kids need to be equipped. We look at the data, and kids who are ill-equipped do not do well in life. That's why suicide is skyrocketing. Anxiety is skyrocketing. Why is it? Because nobody's equipping them, right? They're stuck to their phones. And so we're equipping them with the academic, the athletic, and the social skills. That's one of the biggest things that our donors who own businesses say. The young talent, they struggle with knowing social cues. Maybe they interview fine, maybe they don't. But one thing most of them lack is they don't know how to connect a lot of social dots and the social cues in meetings. When should I speak up? When should I listen? When should I ask for help? There's a lot of things they don't know. And so 5 stars, we're equipping with those things. And then employability skills, getting them ready for a successful, thriving 5-star life. So that's us in a nutshell.
And you know what I love about us is that we are doing that because everyone is quick to judge this generation.
Yeah.
And, just say how they lack all those things that you just mentioned. But what are you doing about it? So 5-Star Life is actually taking action and doing something.
That's the reason why some of you like this show, is because we're all about solutions. There are so many haters. Everybody today is a critic now, and we all can literally be journalistic critics because we have social media. And so we're all sharing our opinions. The question that I think we should start asking ourselves when we're on social media and when we're listening is, this has been lost. There used to be this level of journalistic fidelity where there had to be a credible source if we're going to talk about something. Like, is what you're saying, is it true? And then 2, do you have any expertise in the field even to be commenting on this? And so I think one of the things we should start doing more as consumers of social media and content is what gives them credibility. And now you're like, well, Coach Seth, what gives you credibility? I'm glad you asked. We've been doing this for 20 years, and we have data, research after research about why this works, about how it works, and that is built upon other research conducted. So we built it upon research, and then we've done our own research to conduct it. So there's a lot of credibility that the top, whether they're in psychology or neuroscience or education, there's so much that backs up and supports the foundation of what we do, how we do it, why we do it. And now we're pushing the envelope.
That's why we love 5-star.
It is. So, and if you have never been to our website, go to 5starlife.org, learn more about what we're doing. But today, we're going to talk about one of the lessons that we teach kids, and our whole theme this whole school year has been thrive, right? Really helping kids, when they think about thriving, it's all about, really vigorous maturity, right? Growth, expansion. You think about a thriving plant, it's alive, it's growing. When you think about there's a terminology called failure to thrive among infants or children. So when they don't thrive, what is it? They're undersized, they're weak, they're not getting nutrition, they're behind. So everything we've talked about this year has been to teach kids how to thrive. And one of the areas that we've targeted, we spent 7 lessons talking about teaching kids how to thrive socially, relationally. And, as you think about kids, there has never been a greater fear for adolescents than there is now to interact with people, like their peers, adults, people out in public. Because, and this is, I don't have all the data to back this up yet, it will come out, I'm sure. And I believe it's because this generation has grown up with smartphones. So the amount of things that I learned socially as a kid, from going into the grocery store with my mom, from going to the mall with my grandmother, from going to church, all the public places we went, and what would happen? My grandmother, my dad, my mom, whatever, whoever I was with, the adult, would often run into somebody they knew. And they'd stand there and have a boring conversation. But instead of saying, this is going to be boring because it's 2 adults talking about stuff I don't know about, I can get on my smartphone or my tablet and I can play a game and check out. I could either be bored and look at my shoes, or I could listen and learn. And I had parents that actually encouraged me to listen and learn. It would make me say hello, make me introduce myself, make me step into, we'll talk about more, step into the arena, be engaged. And because of that, I am in part who I am today socially, because I was forced to learn social skills. People make the mistake of thinking, well, it must be nice to be you, or you were born that way. It's like, that is so far from the truth. These are skills we learn.
And you've shared that you were a shy child.
Super shy.
So it was very awkward, very hard for you to engage.
Backwoods shy. Like I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be heard. I wanted to hide behind my dad's leg, my mom's leg. I was the kid that was maybe peeking an eye around the leg. And my parents, time after time, would say, they'd grab me by the arm and pull me out in front and say hello, say your name, make eye contact, shake their hand. And what happened is I gained a comfort level of comfortability. And this is something that has now become almost taboo. It's like there's people that think that parents are torturing their kids and traumatizing their kids by pulling them out in front and making them say hello, making them engage.
Well, parents now want to speak for their children. There's also that type of parenting that,
Yeah, and there's a point where it transitions, because when they're young, we want to protect our kids. When they come of age, then we want to speak for them. And then there's another phase where we're kind of there's parents I know who are covering for their kids' lack of social skills. And I've had parents their kids are 17 years old where I'm meeting them. This parent is socially dialed in. They have all those social skills. And I go to meet their son and they don't stick out their hand. They don't shake. And I'm like, whoa. And they just excuse it. Well, he's this, this, and this, and this. And I'm like, man. And this is, I don't want to come across as judgmental or harsh because there's nothing in me that's judging her. It's just I'm commenting on reality. What do we, and if you're a parent that's been there, well, get in line. I've made so many parenting mistakes. There's things that every single parent sees their kid at 16 or 17 or 18 and thinks, boy, I failed to teach them that.
Yeah.
So this isn't about perfection.
Right.
This is me picking on a topic we're talking about right now, and that's stepping into the social arena. And guess what? If you have kids that are 16, 17, they're struggling, it's never too late to start. Never too late to start.
Well, even as an adult, there are some adults that still can't do this either. So it's not too late.
We have staff that come in that we train, and they transform. And they're grateful for it. It's painful as all get out for both sides of it at first, having those tough conversations. But the ones that can take it, that don't quit, that can stand the heat, they transform their personalities and they start to gain confidence socially. And obviously, it helps them in their work with 5-star, but it helps them in their entire life.
And I can think of one staff member in particular that I had to have a very awkward, very hard conversation. But that person now who couldn't say hi, look people in the eye, is transforming kids' lives, like in the front lines. So I think it's awesome. And, again, it's not too late, but, you have to be that person to receive what people are, offering, loving people are offering.
Yeah, 100%. And there's different levels too, because some people are really comfortable interacting with kids, and some people are scared to death of that. And then some people are really comfortable interacting with adults or peers, and then some people are afraid to death of that. And so this whole idea of social skills, I don't think we're ever done, right? Growing and learning how to interact.
Absolutely.
So anyways, this particular lesson is just titled The Arena. And it has to do with this concept of stepping into the arena, into the social arena, because so often we're more comfortable just hiding. And so I want to wrap this up by mentioning, this is one of my favorite quotes from a Teddy Roosevelt speech back in, the early 1900s. He was in Paris, and many of you, if you're like me, you like great quotes and you like history. I actually have this on my wall. But he said this in his speech. He said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." That's powerful.
That is very powerful.
So he's talking about stepping into the arena. A lot of people stay outside. They're in the stands. They're outside the arena. They're criticizing people in the arena. So we're going to unpack what this looks like for us and where we're tempted to be just a observer, a passive bystander, a critic, or how often we actually are in the arena, doing the deeds, doing the work, showing up as the best version of ourselves. the 5-Star Life Parent app. Each lesson includes a short video and simple discussion prompts designed to help families reconnect and start talking again. Because when parents lead the conversation, kids grow stronger. Download the 5-Star Life Parent app today and start your first family conversation this week, transforming kids' lives by challenging the way they think, act, and lead. Welcome back to the 5-Star Life radio show. Coach Seth here, joined in studio with my co-host, Coach Mia. And we're talking about the arena. And just read Teddy Roosevelt's famous speech. Many people refer to it as the arena speech, where he just talks about, there are so many people that sit in the stands of life, criticizing, passively observing, or they're not even in the arena altogether. They're just outside in a whole other world. And he talks about just giving credit and really paying homage to people that are willing to step into the arena, and he uses great descriptors. Their faces mired in sweat and blood, and it's like they're in there, and they err, they fail in front of everybody, but then they rise and they try again, and they learn. And I love the end of the quote. He says, who at the best know in the end the triumph of high achievement. Those people that step in the arena, you get to experience some success. And not many people experience high achievement.
Fear? Why? Why don't they achieve that?
There are so many reasons. I think fear is a big one. I think one of the growing competitors to fear that this current generation in school right now is dealing with because of smartphones, it is fear, but there's apathy is climbing and probably going to pass fear. I think our generation throughout history is probably fear was the thing that held people back. Fear that you're not going to measure up, that you're not pretty enough or smart enough or tall enough or fast enough or strong enough. Now, I had a teacher pull me out of the classroom. Actually, I was leaving the classroom. He pulled me out off to the side as I was walking down the hall. He said, "Hey, can you teach a lesson or some kind of a series? Like, I'm just dealing with kids who just don't care." There is so much apathy. So it's not that they're afraid to fail. They just don't care. And I'm telling you, these smartphones and social media, it is retraining, it's reprogramming the human mind to just want ease. If I can just swipe right and be stimulated with something that's going to engage me, it's training our brains to want quick fixes and quick dopamine hits instead of actually doing things that take some effort and that create a longer lasting reward and a sense of fulfillment. And that's what this generation is facing.
Gosh, and so as a parent, I would assume that, well, first of all, no screens would be great, but if they have to have screens, then there'd be a limit on this.
Yeah, and Indiana just passed some legislation on that.
Okay.
Which is really significant, and I hope they continue to look at this because, social media and screens, they're having a horrible effect on kids, on their learning, on their attention span. Attention span is shrinking. It's shrunk. I want to say that, the student attention span, I think it was like 12 seconds. It's now down to 8 seconds, I believe, something like that. Don't quote me exactly, but something like that. So we've seen the attention span drop considerably. You think about that, it's like a 25% drop. So you think about if those things continue to happen, you think about like a goldfish's attention span is, I think, a little longer than that, or not much shorter than that, and they have the smallest brains, right? So we're getting at these levels that are not very exciting to talk about. And now it's really good if you are profiting off of social media. If you are you create content that's just made to make you money and numb the brain, then that's a great business model. But for the human brain and for our kids, we need to have some restrictions to protect their minds because it's really hard to get them unplugged and unhooked once they're addicted.
It's such a struggle, I mean, I keep saying, thank God we didn't have to raise our kids in this, this era because just the social media and I mean,
Yeah.
they all had phones, but it was texting was our
hmm
biggest battle back then.
Yeah. I really encourage parents not to cave in.
Yeah.
Like, I know your kids are not going to like it, but I encourage you, hold the line. Technology, delay it as long as possible. As far as like having a smartphone that's connected to the internet, delay it as long as possible. If you want to have some kind of a app that you can connect with your kids because they're at practice or it just convenient to communicate, there are platforms to communicate with your kids without giving them access to the world, into things like TikTok and Instagram that you're just endlessly scrolling forever. And there's some amazing things on there, and there's some really terrible things on there. So, anyways, I digress. This whole idea of stepping in the arena, I love this quote, so powerful. But I want to just ask our listening audience to think about, like, when you think about stepping into the arena, and let's just talk at like macro level. When you look at your life, are you truly in the game, or are you a observer or a spectator of your own life? Now, here's the weird thing about the way our brains work. For the most part, our brains create programs that run our lives. So 95% of our life is ran by subconscious programs. So we are just like our computers and smartphones. Like, we download apps, and apps allow you to do different things. Well, our brain is made just like that. So we have an app for walking, for talking. We have an app for tying our shoes and for getting dressed and for brushing our teeth. We have an app for exercise or not exercising. We have an app for what we do after work. So all these things, and the apps, we don't download them by going to the Google Play Store or Apple Play Store. We download them through our habits. And so the habits we have are the programs that run our lives, and most of us are just literally on like autopilot. And the thing that this conversation should cause us to do is hopefully to step back outside of our own fishbowl, out of our own arena, and take a look. And really, that's what so many of the 5-Step programs do for kids, is we hold up a mirror for them just to take a look at your life. Do you like what you see emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever? Do you like academically? Do you like socially? What do you look like? Are you where you want to be? Are you who you want to be? It's amazing how powerful that one practice is for us waking up to, man, I don't like this part of what I see. I really want to be better. And then I think that's where fear kicks in. Then we just want to ignore what we see because we don't realize we have the power to change.
Or I think for kids is once they learn that they don't have, that there's another option, like they don't have to live there, and we're going to help them, be that person they want to be. I mean, because I don't think a lot of kids, unless you're in 5-star, get that chance. It's kind of like, no, you're because of your circumstances, you're who you are, and because of your parents, you're who you are, and you can't get out of that.
It reminds me of a kid I just met 2 days ago, and he said, Coach Seth, I want some advice. I don't want to be like my dad.
Mm.
So do you have any advice for how I don't become like him and don't repeat the cycle? And I said, well, it first comes by making sure you're aware that the thought and the idea that you're going to be just like your dad is a lie. Now, there are habits, there are patterns, there are models that you have in your mind that could come to fruition, but to believe that because your dad was one way, that you have to be one way, that's an absolute lie. You get to control your future. You get to decide who you want to be. And it starts by shaping the values you want to live by. And it's really simple. It's intuitive. The reason you don't want to be like your dad is because you've already recognized there's some things that don't align with who you want to be and what's good for you. Mm-hmm. You don't want to pass that on to anybody else or negatively influence others the way he's influenced you. So it's that same idea that you can absolutely change, but your biggest enemy is going to be the lie telling you this is who you are.
Now, does your brain naturally want to tell you that lie? Or have we told ourselves that lie and it just becomes a pattern?
It's often, it's like an echo chamber. So we've heard it from somebody. He had a mom, a stepmom, a sibling, somebody who probably mentioned, you're going to be just like, oh, maybe not in even a bad way,
Mm-hmm.
but you look just like your dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our brains can translate that. Or maybe when we do something that resembles mildly something that somebody else did, and they say, that's something, you're just being just like your dad. And then we translate that, I look like my dad, I act like my dad, I'm going to become just like my dad. That's all it takes. A tiny seed that's planted, all of a sudden, boom, that can change the whole trajectory of somebody's life.
Gosh, some of those things are said so innocently.
Yes.
As a parent, as a grandparent, you see, characteristics that are endearing to you that you think are great qualities of that person, but you don't think about it once it comes out of your mouth that, if that kid, he may take it differently.
And this is one of the reasons we created this 5-Star Life Parent app, is because we wanted to give parents a platform to walk through with their kids these types of conversations. And we have a whole separate masterclass for parents called Breakthrough in Parenting that addresses, I think there's 7 lessons that walk parents through. And this is like from years and years of research. It's like Coach Seth's 7 lessons that if you have an adolescent, these are the most important things you need to learn as a parent of an adolescent. It will save your kid. It will save your relationship with your kid. It will unpack things like this. What do you speak over them? When your kid looks you in the eye, because again, this is so powerful. Think about this intuitively. You know that kids, when they look at an adult, they interact with somebody, they can see by looking in your eyes whether you believe in them or not. And so there's so many lessons like that are so powerful. But what can undo maybe years of bad thinking about their identity, about who they are, like this young man, that can be reversed by going through that parent app. And there's a lesson that talks about belief and how to breathe belief into your kids. And there's certain things you can speak to them about and speak over them. And kids are sponges. I still do this to my kids. I have 23, I have 20, and I have 17. And whenever I started this when they were young, when they got up in the morning and then before they went to bed, I would always just say, you are strong, you're powerful, you're blessed, you're secure, you're confident, you're protected, you're a world changer. And anytime I do that, even to this day, they will stop in their tracks and receive those words, those affirmations, because that's who they want to be. And we all need somebody in authority to speak the blessing, right? To speak the truth, to speak hope and life into us. And I know some people are like, oh, that's pretty woo-woo. Well, we now have research, scientific evidence, because they can scan people. It shows the effect on the brain and the emotions, life-changing.
Mm-hmm. And how powerful as a parent, to be able to know that, practice it, and as a child to receive it from a parent. But you know what? You can receive it from other people too, teachers, coaches, So if you're any of those, you know what? Speak into these kids' lives.
And that's also what we find in 5-Star. I go to schools and kids have never met me, but they're like, Coach Seth, you changed my life because I'm speaking these things. And they don't even know me.
Mm-hmm.
It can come from anywhere. We'll be right back after this. The 5-Star Life Parent app. Each lesson includes a short video and simple discussion prompts designed to help families reconnect and start talking again. Because when parents lead the conversation, kids grow stronger. Download the 5-Star Life Parent app today and start your first family conversation this week, transforming kids' lives by challenging the way they think, act, and lead. Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth. I'm joined in studio with Coach Mia. And we're having a fun conversation talking about a lesson we're teaching to kids. And we're like, 20,000 kids a week go through this stuff in the various programs we run and growing. And if you've listened to this conversation and you're like, man, this is good stuff, and you're a part of a nonprofit that works with kids or a detention center or a local school, and you're wondering, like, man, is this something we could use? Yes. So this is one of the fastest growing programs we have, 5 Star Life video curriculum. We have a training program for teachers to implement in their classrooms, and it's super effective. We have seen incredible results, and it's a game changer for school culture, is what superintendents and principals tell us. It really does shift culture and create this different environment, because when kids are learning these concepts, it's transformational.
And springtime is your tour time. So you always go to our schools that have our video curriculum and come back with incredible stories.
Yeah, incredible stories and feedback. I had a kid, just an awesome kid, Brady. He was so kind, but he came up to me and said, Coach Seth, I just wanted to say thank you for changing my life. And I'm like, how so? He's like, I was depressed, I was anxious, I was suicidal, and your lessons helped me understand that is not a path for me, and that I don't have to live that way, and I don't have to think that way. And so it just helped me through that. Now it's like it's changed my life. So thank you. Now I can actually, I'm in a place where I can actually help others. He's the nicest kid. Like, he's a giver.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind, and he's just thinking about others.
And again, all he had to do was hear it to be taught these lessons. But he also had to receive them.
Yeah, he physically looked different, because I saw him a prior year, and I was like, holy cow, he has life in his eyes. We've always talked about this, but before and after pictures are amazing. Like, there's so many kids we work with that when they come to the program, just the lifeblood is drained from their face. And it marks hopelessness, right? Often helplessness, often entitlement. And they get to a place where they start to understand that they have value, and they have more control than they know over what they think and how they feel, and then even who they become. It's not set. The cast is not dyed, or the die is not cast. And so it's so fun to watch the transformation happen.
So you're saying that those same kids can be these same kids that get in the arena.
Well, we watch kids all the time step in the arena. I mean, that's something that kids all the time say. Like, I was quiet, I was insecure, and there's a kid we just interviewed here, actually, in our LIFT program, who, this kid came to the program. He'd been through some trauma, and he came in and just would not make eye contact, would look at his shoes, wouldn't talk. And he's like, I asked him, like, what's changed? He said, my grades have gone up. He said, I have a lot of friends. He said, I smile. And he said, I can read out loud. Think about this. He can read out loud in class or in a public setting. That was the thing that he's like, here's how I changed. So we kind of overlook some of these things that we don't think about kids are dealing with, but kids are petrified. Like, I'm going to be called on, and I'm going to stumble through it. And it's like, in 5-star, literally, we have kids do things up front out loud, and they're petrified, but they work through it, and they gain confidence. They're like, I can do this. And they feel accomplished. Scrolling on TikTok does not make you feel accomplished. The stuff that they're learning in 5-star, it challenges them to take these little steps that build accomplishment and confidence and skills.
And I have watched our own staff. So as a staff, we go through these same lessons. And I was part of a meeting last week. And I mean, these people that couldn't look me in the eye had, very little social skills, came and participated in this meeting and really had life and confidence. So, I mean, we see it in our own staff. You see it in the schools. Yeah.
It's probably one of the coolest things about what we do is we get to do it first within. And it's one of the things that staff always comment on. And I think it's something that, again, if you're listening and you have a business, if you are an educator, if you're a parent, all this stuff, we have all these tools that are user-friendly, readily accessible through our parent app, or just for reaching out to us, and we'd like to talk about different ways we can serve you and your team. But I want to get into some of the meat of the lesson, because what we taught kids was, one, we want you to step into the arena. Put your phone down, shut the TV off, shut the computer off, step into the arena. And I want parents to think about this too. When you come home from work, when you're done with whatever your responsibilities are, what's your go-to? Are you in the arena with your family, with your spouse, with your partner, with your kids? How about at work? Are you even in the arena at work? Or are you just like punching a clock, checking the checklist, and in your phone or in your computer? And let me ask a question. How much do you think that what you do impacts the people you live with and work with if you are isolated, not even in the arena? I'll answer that for you. Has a big influence because you have something to bring. And there's people listening thinking, I don't have much to bring. That's a lie, which keeps you trapped in isolation or just in a comfortable zone. What we challenge kids to do is think about this. When you, you're going to step in the arena. You're going to start making eye contact. You're going to start introducing yourself. You're going to start being social. So that's the first step. Secondly, we're going to teach you to first start by being mindful of how you step into the arena. And we teach Polyvagal Theory, which is this, to make it simple, it's a scientific focus on the nervous system. And so in our nervous system, we have 3 levels, and this is overly simplifying it, but just to make it practical. And at the bottom of this system, and this actually lives in our stomach area, our digestive system, it's called the dorsal vagal system. It's where depression lives. It's where we go to isolate, to hide. It's where we go to really remove ourselves from everybody. And so, and there's symptoms that go along with when we live in that state in our nervous system. And it's symptoms like digestive issues, like stomach aches. We just are not right down there. And so that is one of the results. The next level up is the sympathetic state, which is fight or flight. It's where anxiety lives. It's where we scan and we see people that are against us. It's where we think there's always something wrong. We're nervous. We're anxious. And in that state, like our breathing is short. We don't breathe deeply. And so our brain and our mind can't work properly to shift up to the top state of being, which is really connected to our vagus nerve. At the top of the vagus nerve, at the brainstem, is the ventral vagal nervous system, which is where we are at peace, we're at rest, we breathe deeply, we have hope, we have dreams, we can see situations and people clearly. So every one of us steps into the social arena at a different place, either from this place of isolation where they just walk in with head down, stuck on a phone, or they walk in fearful, anxious, looking at like they're looking for who's going to reject them next or hurt them or wound them, or looking for threats, scanning for threats. That's how they enter social situation. This is going to be hard. I got to protect myself. And at the top, people walk in just scanning for interest. Who's interesting? What's happening? Oh, I like what they're wearing. Oh, they look interesting. Oh, they look like they're struggling today. You can see people clearly. You can pick up body language. You can pick up the good, the bad, the ugly when you're up here with clarity.
That is so interesting. Every time you say that, and I think of the stomach, I think of, gosh, in America, how many stomach issues. I know so many people that have stomach issues. And if they would just go through our curriculum, get our app, and get some goodness inside of them and, get away from all of that, just carrying all that anxiety and that stress and that fear.
Yeah, and there's so many studies that show that ultimately stress is one of the largest causes of cancer and disease. And actually, inflammation is the true root of almost every sickness and disease. And guess what stress does? It causes inflammation. So, and let me clarify this because not all stress is bad. Like eustress is natural and normal. So you go to the gym, you work out, there's going to be stress. Is it bad? No, it's great stress. And so there is a lot of misinformation out there where people are running away from stress. I'm so stressed. Oh, that's causing me stress. Don't talk to me. You're stressing me out. And there are people that are so misinformed, and it's hurting their life because they think that all stress is bad. And it's not true. All stress is not bad. And by the way, stress primarily is based on your ability to handle life.
Mhm. We'll leave it there.
So what we're talking about in 5-star and what we teach is teaching kids how to handle life. And there are these different states in our nervous system that we live in and out of. And a lot of them are based off of patterns and things that maybe traumas, maybe environments we're in, cause us maybe to live in one of those states. But the reality and the truth is this. We all have these 3 different states, and God created us this way for a reason, so we can have a whole spectrum of emotions. I mean, think about how boring life would be if we were always down or always up or always anxious. We would never, like, if I was always in this state of perfection up here, I wouldn't be able to recognize a threat when it came across my path. It's important that I can get down to this anxious level and see, like, oh, if you don't duck, you're going to hit by that ball. If you don't step off this street, that truck that's coming, that's blaring its horn, you're going to die, right? And you know what? When you lose someone or something bad happens, you don't experience grief. If you can't experience pain and sit there with it, you're not human. You're a bot. And so there's been a lot of bad information teaching people that anger is bad and anxiety is bad and depression is bad. And, well, depression is bad. A low state, that the lowest state at the end of the ladder is bad. Well, the reality is we are human beings that are meant to experience the highs and lows, and they're beautiful. What we teach kids is that they don't need to be victims of their circumstances and end up stuck in any one place. The states of being are for us to move in and out of, but then back to the top.
So we're teaching them how to move away from the state that they're in if they don't want to be in that state.
Yes, and we have teachers telling us over and over. I had a teacher just recently say, Coach Seth, my 5th graders, I have 5th graders telling me in the middle of class how they're shifting states. Hey, I'm really anxious about this test, so I'm just going to breathe for a minute. And these kids are shifting in and out of emotional states because they're getting it, and they're learning how to step into the arena as their best self.
Love it.
Powerful stuff. We'll be right back after this. The 5-Star Life Parent app. Each lesson includes a short video and simple discussion prompts designed to help families reconnect and start talking again. Because when parents lead the conversation, kids grow stronger. Download the 5-Star Life Parent app today and start your first family conversation this week, transforming kids' lives by challenging the way they think, act, and lead. Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. Coach Seth here with my co-host, Coach Mia.
Thank you. And we're having a great conversation about the arena.
Yeah, the arena. You know, it's life-changing. You know, it's fun for me to see more and more research and more people talking about the power of relationships and the value that comes from connecting with other people. And so we're teaching this lesson to kids about how to thrive socially. And, you know, people often think about success as how much money you can make and what car you drive and what house you live in and clothes you wear. And all those things I like all those things. But research is clear that the most fulfilling part of life is our relationships, right? Mm-hmm. There are so many proverbs that talk about it's better to be poor but friend rich than to be wealthy and alone, right? And miserable. Mm-hmm. And I think the research is finally, for those who need research, who need science to back up everything, which is great. However, I always challenge people like that because I'm a geek. I love all the science. I love all the research. But I think there's so much ancient wisdom that's intuitive that some people have a hard time acknowledging. And they're missing out on some things that maybe science hasn't proved yet, right? Mm-hmm. And I think so many people that are brilliant, that are successful, have capitalized on ancient wisdom and used it, and they're doing it really well. And when people ask them why they're successful, they give their little ancient wisdom. People are like, that it's not time. Why don't they tell me what they're really doing?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and a lot of that has to do with relationships. And so this conversation is all about stepping into the arena and teaching kids, and for us as adults. It's interesting. There's studies that say that, there's an IQ test and then there's an EQ test. And our emotional intelligence, our emotional quotient test says that the average adult has an EQ of 13. That means the average adult has the emotional quotient level of a middle schooler. They don't grow beyond that. Interesting to think about.
I've heard that so many times from you, but every time you say it, I just am shocked. But then I start thinking of people, in my life and even myself, and I think, man, that I can see that.
Yeah, I can see it when I'm driving.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it in the grocery store. I can see. It was so funny. I was shopping, and I was shopping for some deli meat. And in the store, I asked for this deli meat, and I wanted no nitrates, no hormones, no whatever. So I'm pointing at this piece of turkey that's in the window, and I'm like, she's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "I want this right here." And I said what it's called, and she said, "Do you want BFM or HHG or blah blah blah?" She started rattling these acronyms off, and I was like a deer in the headlights. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know. And she repeated herself. She said, "Do you want blah, 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 blah." And like, she didn't realize, like, I have no clue what you're talking about. I know you're a deli meat expert.
Yeah.
But I'm just coming to get some turkey. Like, I don't know what you're talking about right now.
Speak my language.
So I literally took a physical step back, and I was like, I don't know where we go from here, because she's speaking Chinese to me right now. And so again, I pointed at this piece of deli meat. I said, "I want this one right here." And she said, "Well," and she a third time did that. And my son thankfully read in fine print one of the acronyms.
Oh.
And he's like, "Dad, it's BFM or something." I'm like, "Okay, we'll take the BFM." She's like, "Okay." And it was just, but I thought, it's just wild to think about, like, such a simple social interaction where, like, she stepped into the arena and she couldn't read, like, my confusion. And she was a little chippy. Like, she was getting a little irritated with me and a little short with me. And I'm just like, and I looked at my son after we walked away. I said, and he said, "Dang." He said, that's wild. Like, maybe she's having a bad day. I said, who knows?
Yeah.
But how we step into the arena, it matters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe her perspective of me approaching, like, she could have read, when you're in this state of anxiety, or if you're in the state of depression, you can't see people correctly. Your perception and their reality are two different things. You cannot see. And so maybe there's something on my face that said threat, 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 threat. He's going to mess with you or something, right? But that's what happens. If she was clear, she would have been like, this dude's just genuinely confused.
Right. You know what, though? I worked retail, and there were days that people would just walk in and you're like, oh, God. You're like, what in the world? Like, you're in that industry, but it's just, so maybe it was one of those days.
My son worked retail, and he was like, "They're all idiots, Dad."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm one of them. So like, think about that.
Yeah.
I think you're right. All the people in retail said amen.
Yes, amen.
But back to this whole state of being, how we step into, just think about this for a second. When you walk into your office, or you walk into any given meeting, or shift to home, when you walk into your front door, like, every doorway, and me and I've talked about this, but every new door you open is a threshold into a new audience, into a new environment, into a new world. And so one of the hacks that's helped me is to use doorways as a reminder to think about, and just a reminder, like, hey, I'm stepping into the arena. How do I want to show up, and how am I showing up? Do I want to show up at the top of this ladder up here, emotionally intelligent, dialed in, ready, bringing life, seeing people for where they truly are, who they truly are? And am I bringing stuff from whatever challenge or joy I just came from? Or am I coming in, how am I stepping into this arena? It's been super helpful for me.
Yeah, because I mean, think of how you want people to step into the arena and show up, especially coming home from work. I mean, my husband, I have high expectations. He better be ready to listen to me. He better come with a smile. And it's not fair because I should show up the same way. But I think sometimes we don't think about that. We just think about that person and how you want them to show up.
And you think about the difference, and this is something we teach our 5-star parents in our LIFT program. Their kids got in trouble with the law. Now they have to complete this 6-week program that's mandatory through the court system. And they're not happy to be there, but they're sponges. And one of the things we teach them is one of the first things you can do to start to shift the environment in your home is pay attention to your body language and your face when you walk in the door or when your kid comes home from school. Whoever's there first, if you're walking in, if you're bringing all the baggage, all the frustration, and you're already predicting the house is going to be a mess, their homework's not going to be done, I have all this pressure, I got to make dinner, I got to pay bills, I'm behind on this. Like we walk into the arena with some baggage and we wonder why the vibe in our home isn't good.
Right.
And we have parent after parent that, and this is the beautiful thing, they, out of their own mouths, they say, I realized that I was the problem. And when I changed, my whole household changed. My kids followed suit. That's power.
That is power. And I know, I mean, what I'm about to say, people will disagree, but it's a small shift.
It's a tweak.
It really is.
And this is why parents are so excited to be a part of our program, is they make these little shifts. And they're like, what just happened? So you're telling me that I can change my life by just making small tweaks? Yeah, that's exactly right. Mm-hmm. Most of life is intuitive. And sometimes when you have somebody else holding a mirror in front of you, asking the question, saying, how's your home life? How do you walk through the front door? What's the first thing you say to your kids when they come from school? What's your vibe? What's your tone? What's your body language like when your kid fails? What happens when they talk back to you? How do you what's your go-to when they talk back to you? And all we do is hold the mirror then, and they talk about it, and they start making edits like, this is what I do? Intuitively, I want to try this. And the change is so little, but so massive in a short amount of time. And it's something that, again, with all the busyness of our lives, the question I want to ask everybody to think about is, what area of is it work? Is it family? Is it a love relationship where you have just settled and you're in a cycle? We talked in the first segment about the cycles we get into, that we're on autopilot and we've settled for a subpar life experience. We're called 5-star life because we want you to live a 5-star life and evaluate and look at. And some people are like, well, that's so overwhelming. It's not.
No. And you know what, too, as we talk about this, I'm thinking that, you know what, we live in this. I still have to be reminded of it, to
That's
check
right.
yourself, be aware of yourself.
Yes.
But I allow people to, have those conversations with me. But I also, it's a chance to help somebody else, too, in a loving way. I mean, I've been places and I'm like, you know what, check your face.
Yes.
And they're like, oh my gosh, what? And I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. You need some people in your
look.
life like that.
Yeah.
And for me too, I'm constantly doing that. And when you step into the arena, the great thing about when you step into the arena is you're going to learn some stuff. I was at a school the other day and I was like, there's a couple things that I did that I was like editing, like, man, I wish I could have a do-over. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody was like that was terrible. But when you step into the arena and you're actually engaged, not an autopilot, you go through things, you say things, you do things, and you get reactions. You're like, man, next time I'm doing this. And I think that's a big part of stepping into the arena, is saying, I'm going to live and I'm going to learn and I'm going to edit and I'm going to get better.
Mm-hmm. And don't carry that. I think so many people, we just beat ourselves up and
Yes.
we say, oh, we can't get back in the arena.
Which is why we don't get back in the arena, and also why we don't look in the mirror. Because and really that's a me problem. It's a you problem. It's we are so harsh on ourselves. We're so critical. We're so gracious to other people, but we're so harsh on ourselves. And that harshness is preventing us from being our biggest fan, biggest supporter, and greatest coach. Because there's some things that only you know about yourself and only you can see about yourself. But if you are not aware and if you don't allow yourself to go there, you can't make those edits. And so I'm really hard on myself, but not in a negative way. I want to break down everything, but then I'm not going to sit and feel miserable and let myself sink down to depression where I'm like, oh, I'm terrible. Everybody, like, you can go there fast.
You can also go to this other side, though, fast, too. You do nothing wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's this wonderful balance.
Correct. And people can take some things I say out of context, like, you're strong, you're powerful. Like, I'm a big believer in power statements, right? Well, that doesn't mean you don't acknowledge when you're not living it, right? It's making sure to edit it. So I love the whole thing. All right. What a fun show.
Oh, my gosh. I always learn so much.
Same.
Every show.
So I want to encourage our listening audience, if this has been beneficial, would you do us a favor? Would you, this is streamed everywhere podcasts are played. It's also on YouTube at The 5-Star Life. It's also on yourhometv.com. Just look up 5-Star Life with Coach Seth. And if it's beneficial, please share it with somebody. Like, it's a free thing that we just do for the world because we want to impact your life in a good way. And then go to 5starlife.org to learn more about how you can be a part of bringing 5-Star Life to your family through our 5-Star Life parent app, to your community through maybe one of our school programs, or get your kids involved. Summer's coming. We have all kinds of programs for kids this summer. Or if you want to volunteer or donate or bring it to your school, we've got lots of options for you. So thanks for tuning in. Make it a great week. And remember, this is the week you're stepping into the arena. You're going to think about how you're showing up, which state you want to show up, and then make something good happen. Help somebody else live a 5-star life.